Hey everyone, 99% of you watching aren't subscribed. Let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and at 1,000 subscribers, we'll drop special stories just for you.
For as long as their record stretched, nearly 1 million of Earth's years, the Aurelians considered themselves caretakers of the galaxy. They were beings of crystalline structure and resonant consciousness, shimmering with internal light like walking prisms. Their ships, grown rather than built, resembled vast floating spires made of translucent glass embedded with pulsing energy veins. Among the countless worlds studied by these patient starfarers was a young blue planet the Aurelians once called Project Seedling, Earth. In those ancient days, the Aurelians observed Earth with the same gentle curiosity one might give a rare, fragile flower. Life that was promising, vibrant, unpredictable, full of evolutionary potential, yet vulnerable. Too many cosmic accidents could snuff it out before it bloomed. The Aurelians did not believe in domination. Their philosophy was simple: guide only when a world cannot guide itself. And so their interventions were subtle, whisper soft, a slight adjustment to the orbital path of a wandering comet, so it seeded Earth's oceans rather than evaporating them. A shield of particulate energy spread across the planet when its magnetic field temporarily weakened. And the most significant act of all, one that even their own people would eventually forget, came during the late Quaternary period, when a 10-kilometer iron asteroid barreled toward Earth at extinction velocity. Aurelian starship Sanctum intercepted it in the darkness above the young planet. Without leaving any trace of their presence, they fractured the asteroid into dust and harmless fragments. The night sky lit up for weeks in cascading meteor showers. Early human tribes looked upward, dazzled, and told stories of sky spirits dancing above them. The Aurelians left Earth believing it now stood strong enough to grow alone. And as centuries turned into tens of thousands of years, Earth slipped into myth within the Aurelian archives. Their civilization grew inward, focusing on art, spiritual resonance, and the refinement of crystalline technology. Their once mighty star fleets became ceremonial relics. Exploration waned. Curiosity dimmed. Then Orlon, their mighty star, began to die. At first, it was only a strange fluctuation in the outer corona, small enough for astronomers to dismiss. But soon the fluctuations became pulses, then violent throbs of unstable fusion. Their sun was entering a premature helium flash, a catastrophic ignition that should not have occurred for another 100 million years. The Aurelians were stunned. Their star, so constant, so dependable, was betraying them early. Within decades, temperatures on their world began to rise. Oceans receded. Great crystal cities dimmed as energy grids overloaded. Attempts to evacuate were pitiful. Their remaining interstellar vessels were too few, too outdated, too slow. Desperate, the Aurelians sent pleas for assistance across the neighboring sectors, broadcasts of resonant light that carried both mathematic distress and emotional charge. No one answered. Their once vibrant empire now faced extinction. And then, as the sun reddened to a blood star in their sky, a single alert chimed to the system. The long-range sensor array detecting a fleet emerging from folded space. Massive, fast, unidentifiable. The council gathered in the high hall of resonance, its crystal walls trembling faintly from the heat storms outside. Elder Aartail, his body glowing with the steady blue of calm determination, addressed the chamber. "We do not know their intentions," he said. "Prepare for defense, but also for dialogue." The fleet approached rapidly, sleek vessels of metal and light, nothing like the organic spires of Aurelian design. Their engines left trails that shimmered like auroras. A message came through, not in resonant waveforms, not in crystalline harmonics, but in sound, spoken language. "To the ones who saved our world long ago, we come to return your kindness." Silence fell across the high hall. The council replayed the message in disbelief. Some thought it trick, others a misunderstanding. But the linguistic structure was clear, ancient yet evolved beyond anything seen in the archives. Elder Aartail's inner light brightened with recognition. "Humans," he whispered, the old name spoken like a half-remembered dream. "Earth has found its voice." Scholars scrambled through dusty data vaults, reopening files untouched for millennia. They found fragments of the project's seedling logs, notes on Earth's development, the asteroid diversion. The final assessment predicting eventual sentience. In the ancient Aurelian way, they had lent a small, careful hand to a world struggling to survive. And now that distant world had crossed the stars to repay a forgotten debt. The Aurelians stood at their windows as the fleet descended, their dying sun blazing red behind it. The ships glowed a soft blue, the color of Earth's oceans, though the Aurelians did not yet know that. Their past had come home. Commander Lyra Hoshino had trained her entire life for deep space exploration, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared her for sight before her now. Suspended in the void like a dying ember, the red giant Orlon swelled and shuddered, shedding solar flares that rippled across the star system like fiery storms. Its light washed over the bridge of the human flagship Solrise, staining the floor and consoles a deep, unsettling crimson. Lyra stood with her hands clasped behind her back, boots magnetized the deck, heart thundering in her chest. "Commander," said her second officer, Raphael Ibarra, "Aurelian atmospheric shields are collapsing in 5 of their major cities. Radiation levels are climbing." Lyra inhaled slowly. They were just in time, or maybe almost too late. "Deploy stabilizer drones," she ordered. "Tell the fleet to begin Phase 1. We land as soon as they signal permission." "Yes, ma'am." As her officers rushed to carry out the commands, Lyra kept her gaze fixed on the world below. Aurelia, home of the crystalline beings who had, according to Earth's best evidence, saved humanity before humanity even existed. For centuries, humans had puzzled over the strange isotopes found in prehistoric meteorites, over the inexplicable patterns in Earth's biodiversity rebounds, over the mysterious fragmentation of the doomsday asteroid that should have ended humankind before it began. Then Space Telescope Helios, 9 captured distorted energy bursts emanating from a distant star system nearing collapse, bursts that matched the isotopic signatures from those ancient meteor fragments. Humanity didn't argue anymore. It didn't bicker. It didn't divide. For the first time in thousands of years, Earth was united, governments, corporations, citizens, and even long-estranged colonies pooling resources to answer the call, not because of conquest, not because of profit, but because of gratitude. Lyra still remembered the speech that sparked it all. "No civilization survives without help. It's our turn to be the helpers." A gentle hum spread across the bridge as the Solrise descended into low orbit. Aurelia's luminous cities, crafted of refractive towers and floating crystal platforms, flickered under the strain of their collapsing shields. Energy storms danced across the atmosphere like violet lightning trapped beneath glass. "Receiving incoming transmission," Raphael said. A figure appeared as a shimmering hologram, tall, translucent, refracting rainbow light from its crystalline body. Its movements were elegant and slow, like a sculpture waking from a long dream. "I am Elder Airtail," the being said, its voice resonating like multiple wind chimes speaking in harmony. "You come from Earth, a world we once tended. We greet you with gratitude." The bridge crew exchanged looks of awe. Lyra stepped forward. "Elder Airtail, humanity honors what your ancestors did for us. We are here to help, to evacuate your people and provide stabilization technology while we construct a new home for you." Airtail bowed slightly, his inner light shifting to a warm emerald glow. But beside him stood another Aurelian, darker in hue, his facets sharp and angled. His internal light flickered like distrust. "I am High Scholar Virex," he said, voice colder. "Your sudden arrival is unexpected." Lyra nodded carefully. "We acted as soon as we deciphered your distress signal. We couldn't ignore your suffering. Or your vulnerability," Virex murmured. A palpable tension filled the bridge. Elder Airtail extended a calming hand toward the scholar. "Virex guards our traditions," he explained softly. "But fear clouds even the brightest crystals in times of despair." Virex didn't bow, didn't soften. His gaze remained locked on Lyra. "You evolved rapidly," he said, "far faster than natural processes should allow. And you found us across impossible distances." "How?" Lyra hesitated. "Because your ancestors left traces. Because we've always wondered who saved us. Or who shaped you," Virex countered. The question cut through the bridge like a blade of ice. Elder Artail intervened quickly. This is neither the time nor the place. Our sun is dying. Millions must be evacuated. We accept your assistance. Lyra nodded, her composure returning. Then let's get to work. The hologram faded. A hush settled across the bridge. Raphael leaned toward Lyra. You okay, Commander? It's not unusual for civilizations in crisis to question motives, she replied, but her voice was tighter than she intended. Stay alert. Some of them may not trust us. Down on Aurelia, landing zones blossomed with blue human light. Shuttles touched down beside crystalline towers. Engineers emerged in shimmering exoframes. Medics carried harmonic translators and adaptive nanite kits. And Aurelians, thousands of them, watched a mixture of awe, caution, and desperate hope. Humanity and Aurelia were taking their first steps toward each other. But as Lyra surveyed the early evacuation, she noticed one thing. Virex stood apart from the others, unmoving, his luminous eyes fixed upon the humans as if studying a long-forgotten puzzle. A puzzle he wasn't sure he wanted solved. The evacuation progressed faster than either species expected. Within days, human engineers had erected orbital scaffolds, vast platforms of alloy, and light designed to house millions of Aurelians temporarily. Modular habitats unfurled like metallic petals across the darkness, while gravity shields kept the growing structures stable against Orelon's violent solar winds. The two civilizations worked side by side. Humans learned that Aurelians communicated through harmonic frequencies, as well as speech. Gentle vibrations felt more than heard. Aurelians discovered that humans modified their technologies in hours, sometimes minutes, using intuition that bordered on miraculous. At first, cooperation felt effortless. Lyra watched from the Sauri's command deck as dozens of Aurelian refugees boarded a human carrier. Their crystalline bodies refracted the ship's interior lights, filling the hall with drifting patches of color. It's beautiful, whispered Lieutenant May Tanaka. Lyra nodded. This is what unity looks like. But unity has cracks, and one of them was named High Scholar Virex. The scholars doubt. Virex spent his days in the Resonance archives, massive underground vaults where Aurelians stored their oldest data as holographic crystals. The deeper he delved, the darker his inner light became. Something wasn't right. Something had never been right. Humans were clever. Too clever. Their problem-solving speed defied natural biology. Their neural patterns, recorded during medical scans, displayed a unique rhythm he had never seen in any unaltered species. He searched deeper. There, buried beneath tens of thousands of years of dust, he found it, the log of the Starship Sanctum. Project Seedling, final entry. His light flickered violently as he read. Not only had the Sanctum diverted the asteroid from Earth, they had also deployed a genetic resonance pulse, a gentle harmonic meant to awaken dormant potential in the early human brain. It was never intended to dominate humanity's evolution, merely to encourage a spark of creativity, curiosity, and adaptability. But it had worked beyond expectation. Humanity hadn't simply survived. Humanity had outgrown its gardeners. As the realization sank in, Virex's internal glow dimmed to a cold, fractured violet. We created them, he whispered. Their brilliance is our doing, and now they stand before us, not as children, but as a species who could surpass us. Fear settled in his crystalline core. What if the humans' kindness was not altruism, but strategy? What if they planned to absorb Aurelian knowledge, technology, and territory? What if Project Seedling was coming home to claim its inheritance? The confrontation. Lyra was inspecting the stabilizer grid when she found Virex waiting alone in one of the half-deconstructed towers. The dying sun cast long red rays through the fractured crystal, painting the air with streaks of fire. "Commander," Virex said, "we must talk." Lyra approached cautiously. "Of course." He projected the Sanctum log into the air, a shimmering memory of an Aurelian scientist activating the resonance pulse over ancient Earth. Lyra's heartbeat quickened. What is this?" "Proof," Virex said, voice trembling with intensity, "that your species was altered, engineered, by my ancestors. Your intelligence, your drive, your impossible rate of progress. It is our doing." Lyra stared at the projection, speechless. "You think we came here because we felt entitled," she finally said. that we view you as creators we've outgrown. I think, Virex replied sharply, that humanity is a storm wearing a smile. She bristled. We came because we owe you our survival. Nothing more. Nothing more. Virex echoed. Commander, you arrived with an armada capable of folding space in ways we cannot replicate. You built orbital cities in days. You comprehend our technologies as if they were children's puzzles. You are advancing faster than natural evolution should allow. His voice fell to a whisper. You are not our equals, Lyra Hoshino. You may already be our successors. Silence permeated the broken tower. Lyra stepped closer, her expression steady. High Scholar, humanity has made mistakes, terrible ones. But we came here with open hands, not clenched fists. Words, Virex hissed, easily spoken. And yet, she said firmly, we're the ones saving your people right now. Whatever your ancestors did, we never asked for it, but we chose to be here. Virex's inner light flickered with conflicted emotion. You are too dangerous, he said finally. Too capable. Too unpredictable. He turned away. Lyra felt a chill. What are you planning? Virex didn't answer. The sabotage. As the evacuation reached its climax, Orlan's instability accelerated. The star surface churned with violent eruptions, each one stronger than the last. Time was running out. Human and Aurelian engineers activated the star lattice stabilization grid, a network of energy anchors designed to delay the sun's collapse long enough to complete the evacuation. At least that was the plan. Virex stood before the lattice's central crystalline core, hands trembling. He had made his choice. If they cannot save us when tested, he murmured, they were never true allies. With a pulse of resonant energy, he shattered the grid's harmonic alignment. The stabilizing frequencies collapsed. Orlan howled, a giant star tearing loose from its final restraints. Solar winds slammed into the evacuation corridor. Radiation spiked. Planetary shields flickered and ruptured. The sun was going to explode far earlier than predicted. On the Sol Rise, alarm screamed. Commander, Raphael shouted. The star is destabilizing beyond all models. This isn't natural. Lyra's stomach dropped. She knew instantly. Virex, she whispered. What have you done? Outside, the red giant swelled to monstrous proportions, its corona stretching like a fiery claw toward the fleeing ships. Evacuation wasn't just in danger. It was doomed, unless humanity did the impossible. Again, the star Orlan writhed like a wounded titan. Its surface cracked with molten fissures, sending ribbons of plasma spiraling into space. The dying sun's heartbeat, once slow and steady, was now a frantic drum of impending destruction. On the Sol Rise, the bridge shuddered under the force of the expanding shock waves. Radiation levels are spiking. Raphael shouted, gripping the railing. If that flare hits the evacuation corridor, it'll vaporize every ship in its path. Lyra finished. Around them, red alarms pulsed like the dying star outside. She closed her eyes, inhaled sharply, and stepped forward. Open a channel to the fleet. The comms officer complied instantly. Across dozens of screens, captains and commanders of Earth's united fleets appeared. Some calm, some terrified, all waiting for her order. This is Commander Lyra Hoshino, she said, voice steady despite the chaos. The evacuation corridor is collapsing. We have one option left. Raphael's eyes widened. Lyra, no. We form a barrier grid, she continued. All Starlight engines will shift to containment mode. We absorb a flare long enough for the Aurelians to escape. Gasps, protests, stunned silence filled the channel. Commander, Captain Veer, the colonial cruiser Horizon's Edge, said, that will cripple our engines. Your ship won't survive it. Lyra nodded. I know. Aurelia's despair. Far below, on the evacuation plains of Aurelia, Elder Airtail felt the planet tremble. The sky had turned a violent red, the atmosphere tearing at the seams. His people, millions of crystalline beings, stood frozen as they watched the humans move with impossible speed, directing them toward the final carriers. Airtail's inner light dimmed in sorrow. Then he felt a sharp, discordant vibration. He turned to see Virex, standing apart from the fleeing crowds, his glow fractured and erratic. "What have you done?" A.R. Tail demanded. Virex trembled. "I revealed the truth. If humans can withstand this test, they may truly be allies." A.R. Tail's core resonated with pain. "You endangered every soul on this world." Virex lowered his head. "If they cannot save us under pressure, they were never meant to save us at all." "You have doomed us," A.R. Tail whispered. Above them, the flare erupted. A scorching wall of starfire surged outward like a cosmic tsunami, but something intercepted it. Human ships, hundreds of them, locking together in a vast lattice of energy and determination. The last stand of the Soul Rise. Engines at containment threshold. Raphael shouted, "We can't hold this for long." Lyra gripped the control rail, her knuckles white. "We don't need long." The flare slammed into the first layer of the barrier grid. The fleet groaned. The vacuum screamed. Space itself rippled. Dozens of ships flickered, their shields buckling under the impossible strain. "Redistribute load to Soul Rise." Lyra commanded. "Lyra, that'll do it." The bridge filled with blinding white light as the flare's energy surged into the flagship's containment core. Panels exploded. Sparks rained. Officers were thrown to the floor. Lyra forced herself back to her feet. Raphael grabbed her arm. "We're overloading. We need to fall back." She shook her head. "If we fall back, they all die. Then we die with them." She met his eyes. "Better us than them." He choked on his next breath, but he nodded. He had known her long enough to recognize that nothing he said would change her mind. Outside, the barrier grid began to collapse. One ship after another winked out as engines blew or shields failed. But the human line held. For the Aurelians, for the forgotten debt, for the kindness of an ancient starship long ago. Escape. The last Aurelian carrier launched from the surface, engines blazing as it ascended toward the evacuation fleet station beyond the flare's reach. Aboard it, Elder A.R. Tail watched the barrier grid, watched the humans burn bright against the dying sun. His inner glow flickered with grief. "Commander Hoshino," he whispered, "may your light guide ours for generations." Behind them, Orlon released a final, catastrophic burst of energy. The flare engulfed the Soul Rise. Her ship disappeared in a radiant flash, swallowed by the fury of the stars she dared to defy. And then, silence. The flare dissipated enough of the remaining human and Aurelian ships to fold space and escape the collapsing system. They jumped. Orlon died alone. A new dawn, months later. In the newly established Aurelian refuge system, a memorial of living crystal stood in the center of the joint colony. It shimmered with softly shifting colors, each name etched within glowing facets. The crew of the Soul Rise, protectors of Aurelia. Humans and Aurelians visited daily, placing light stones and harmonic offerings at its base. Virex approached it one night, the weight of guilt almost too much to bear. A.R. Tail stood beside him. "She saved us," the elder said. "Because of my actions, she had to," Virex whispered. "Because of your actions," A.R. Tail corrected. "She proved humanity's heart." Virex lowered himself to one knee, his glow a dim, mournful blue. "Will we ever repay them?" A.R. Tail smiled softly. "Perhaps sooner than you think." The signal. Weeks later, technicians monitoring deep space channels detected an anomaly, an oscillating pulse in a region far from any known beacon. "Sir," the operator called out, "we're receiving a coded starlight transmission. It matches human fleet encryption." A.R. Tail rushed to the console, put it through. Static crackled. Then, a familiar voice, faint but strong. "This is Commander Lyra Hoshino. We held the line. Returning soon." The chamber erupted in light as Aurelians flared in joy. A.R. Tail closed his eyes, overwhelmed. "Earth helped us long ago," he whispered. "We repaid the favor, and now our friends return once more."